Welcome to the Snowboard Project, version 3.0. I am the computer. Enter your request. Opening podcast directory. You have chosen Real Talk. I will connect you now.
Guys, welcome back to another edition of the Snowboard Project. We have Real Talk for you here today. And by the way, if I haven't reminded you yet, this is going to be available on YouTube. So go to YouTube, check it out, subscribe to our channel. You can check out all the action on YouTube. It's YouTube/C/The Snowboard Project. Anyhow, without further ado, I'd like to bring on my co-host, some real veterans of the snowboarding game. I'm talking about Bjorn Leines.
What's up, Mark? Thanks for having me back.
Right on. Good to see you. And, of course, Chad
Great.
Otterstrom.
How are you?
How you doing, Chad? I'm doing well. Just hanging out here in Alaska still. This is going to be the last Real Talk that I do in Alaska, so getting ready to make my move back down to the lower 48 here. It's been getting cold. It's been like teens every day. Winter is coming here, but the thing is, so is the dark. Comes with the cold, and so it's about to get cold, dark here. So
it looks cold. You got a puffy jacket on. For the listeners that don't see Mark right now, he's indoors with a giant down puffy jacket on.
So I turn off my heat every night around, like, I don't know, 10 or 11, and then I wake up in the morning, and it's basically air temperature inside. So but it takes me about half the day to get it warm again. So maybe time to head back to the lower 48 for snowboard season. Just saying. So what have you been up to, Chad? What have you been up to these last couple weeks?
I have been keeping an eye on the White Ribbon of Death at A Basin in Loveland ski area. We might be hitting that up this Friday, hopefully, and waxing my snowboard, getting everything packed to, gun it out there when they do make the announcement. And then besides that, watching the internet, because, it's exciting, and modeling my home.
Right. So what is like packing for the first day of the season look like for Loveland or A Basin? How do you pack for that, seeing as you live within driving distance?
You have to packing for first chair and first day are two different things. Packing for first chair, you have to pack for a potential 2 to 3 day mission of chilling in a parking lot. So you pack sleeping bag, extra clothing, food, adult beverages, a cot, dog food, things like that. Yeah.
Now, have they been making snow there? Is it coming? Like, how close are we to like opening day?
We are. I mean, you could go there right now and ride top to bottom.
Really?
Just haven't groomed it out.
Huh.
They're top to bottom on like man-made, like a sliver. Is that what we're talking about?
It's like 200 feet wide, top to bottom, 1,000-foot run.
Dang.
Blown, ready to go.
Wow.
Sounds legit.
They technically. I just feel like resorts right now. I was at a shop sale yesterday at down in Boulder at Satellite, and we were kind of talking about how resorts aren't really giving everybody the full inside clue of what's going on. Like Vail Resorts hasn't really announced how they're gonna do their reservations, things like that. You can't really buy day tickets at A Basin right now. You have to prepay for your ticket. You can't just show up opening day and buy a ticket. You have to buy it the day before. So I don't know.
Interesting. So that could actually complicate this whole 25 years in a row first chair thing. I mean, Nate Dogg has got to be kind of stressed out a little bit, just not knowing how he's going to buy that first ticket, get on that first chair.
He's bought it already.
He has.
But you have to buy it the day before. You can't buy it that day, which is what we normally do.
Right, but he's pre-booked his. How come you haven't pre-booked yours? You're just not sure where it's going to be yet?
Waiting till they announce. Because if I don't make it, I don't make it,
Right.
It's more about me, so.
Okay. How about Utah? How's Utah looking? Are we getting any closer to the kickoff of the season? How far away are we in Utah?
Well, today would be a bad indicator because it was 70 degrees and sunny, and I was running sprinklers in my backyard. Okay. So We do have some real high elevation north face. We got, a couple inches of snow that's sticking around up there from a storm we had. But yeah, I mean, we don't really see anything in the future. Personally, I've just been a slave to my children, aka my 2 teenagers, on our backyard snowboard park. We've been just kind of going ham on building it out. So that's been really fun. I'm kind of excited to slide some metal again, and we built a couple other airtime features, and so it's gonna be fun.
How many features in your backyard park, and what do they look like?
So we've got a kinked box, a regular box, a picnic table, a curved rail, a down bar, a bigger flat bar, a longer flat bar, a dance floor, a backside wall hit, a road gap. We've got like construction cones and stuff to bonk, and then we're making a jump ramp, a movable takeoff into this landing so that we can steadily increase how big we're trying to go or they're trying to go. And yeah, I mean, it's getting to be a little obnoxious. We're trying to make it. I had to rent an excavator and tear out all these stumps and trees, and it's going next level for sure.
Okay, how much are tickets, and how do I reserve in advance?
Tickets. You got to be on the bro list. It's not like the Bone Zone where you just show up with a shovel. So you're going to get a text message whether or not you can come, first of all. So that's tough. But yeah, I'm kind of tripping because my Micaiah, who's 15, he's got like 10 little homies that want to come over here, and of course I want them all to shred. And then I'm like, oh man, what is it's a liability issue. But it's going to be just like a skate park, man. It's going to be show up and ride and bring your own shovel, kind of like the Bone Zone. But
yeah. How about for you, Chad? Do you have any backyard parks that you're going to be hitting up this year, or are you kind of just waiting for the resorts to open?
I'm waiting for the resorts to open, but we used to have a backyard park. I had a couple rails back there, and actually, like the last snowstorm, there's a bunch of people up on Loveland Pass. There's a couple jibs up there that people hit, but we ride till middle of August at Copper, so I'm not really jonesing too hard to go hit rails.
Right. Now, what happened to your whole, take September and October off? We're still in October here. Are you still planning on taking October off if Loveland or A Basin opens?
No, not at all. I took September off because I had ridden for a full year before that, so I didn't want to hit the 24-month mark because then you'd be like, oh, I got to do 36 months or, turn into one of those weird people.
Right.
I made sure September didn't happen,
I just shredded 372 days in a row.
One of those guys.
Yeah.
Yep. That would be like I think that's like the gateway to becoming like an angry backcountry snowboarder, someone who's like bitter about most everything because their accomplishments aren't recognized properly. Cool. So Chad, I saw that your movie there, the At Home with the Homies, just kind of like got released to the public here this week, and so I guess Shredbots is distributing it, and it's got quite a few views. What can you tell us about the movie?
The movie was all edited, produced, directed, and filmed. Well, a lot of it was filmed by Dorn and all of us and Brock and a couple other people, but just kind of filming over the last couple of years. And, you don't really plan on making a movie. And then, the last 2 years we've been kind of stacking some stuff and we're like, oh, we got enough. And Dorn made a movie and it turned out pretty good. And it really represented Colorado in a very good light, I think, because we're mostly known for, energy drinking park spinners. So it's really cool to have a country video coming out of Colorado. But yeah, it's just a friends video, that turned out pretty good. Just a bunch of us that have been kind of shredding off and on together with each other for the last 20 plus years, honestly. And it's cool to kind of continue doing what we used to do as a job for fun now. So it's kind of what it is.
So is the movie objectively good, or is it good because you have the last part?
It's good because it's a local movie and it's got a local vibe to it. Like I always thought about that in like hip hop and music and cities, and it's like we were talking a couple weeks ago. It's like really cool for a city to have like a local movie because you get that local feel and local vibe, and it makes it real instead of having this overproduced. Not to say that those movies aren't great. Overproduced. All the best writers in the world all come together to do all the best tricks at all the best zones. I feel like that's just been nailed to the ground more than enough. So it's kind of cool just to bring it back to the local vibe feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it is definitely worth watching. So you can check it out on the Shredbots channel on YouTube. It's there right now.
I gotta chime in on this one, Chad. Your ender part was insane. It's definitely inspiring, and I think you guys nailed it with, the title and kind of the whole vibe. I watch it, and now I'm like, I didn't realize there's that many rad spots in Colorado. So I'm like, maybe we call up the boys and see if we can get out there, get on some sled missions or something. But yeah, it was sick. It was cool to see dudes like Doran and Colin Langlois and, Danny Cass, yourself, like just the good old boy vibes and laying down some sick lines and rad tricks and a ton of powder. That's what's up.
When was the last time you had a closing part, Bjorn? And what was it?
I don't even know. I can't get you there off the top of my head.
Okay.
It's been
a minute, though.
Video games, for sure.
Yeah, video games. A Scramble. The Rome videos. I had some openers. The problem with the Rome videos, I managed to film 2 video parts every time Rome made a video, Absinthe and Rome. So that was never a good recipe for getting ender. But yeah, I don't really know.
Before we get into it a little further, because I would like to get into like strategies for video parts and for filming, because both of you guys have a lot of experience with filming video parts. But did any other movies that came out this week or had teasers released this week? I know Channel Zero, the Absinthe movie teaser came out this week. Did anything else come across your radar as far as like the new releases that are coming down the pipeline?
We didn't talk about it last time, but I think it was on the list. Did we talk about Dustin Craven's movie up in Interior, BC?
Oh, no, we haven't talked about that one yet, and that is a good one. Yeah, what was the name of that one? What's the name of that one? Do you remember?
Oh boy.
Oh boy, that's right.
Yeah.
It was like the pinnacle of Interior BC shredding. Those guys seem to have it amazingly dialed, and that's like when the border opens, that's where I want to go always, is north of Idaho or wherever.
Yeah.
Because a little quicker than Whistler and a little more secluded.
Yeah, it's
The amount of pillow stacks that is up there that Craven knows specifically where to go from, like Whistler to Revelstoke. I mean, he's got it dialed in for sure. That movie, personally, I watched the hell out of that thing, and got me super stoked. I was like commenting on Snowboarder Mags and blah blah blah. So definitely a good watch. People go check out Oh Boy, the Canadians chucking.
Yep. Now, do you guys get like sucked into watching a bunch of street movies, or do you guys mostly focus on kind of the backcountry and powder riding type of features that are coming out right now? Like, do you go into your own lane, or do you just look at all the lanes and kind of try to figure out what's going on?
If it's from Minnesota, I'm watching it if it's a street movie. But, I don't really focus on going, I need to watch the new Quebec movie. But I watched Tangle. I got that the other day. I got that at Underground. And that, that was mostly street, but then you'd have Bodie, and then he would just take his foot out and do everything better than everybody.
Right.
But it was really good, I thought, and I enjoyed it. There's that kid Dylan, who I think he's a Vail kid, and he lives in Utah now. And this kid Denver, these 2 kids that I think they both moved to Utah and kind of slaughtered the jib scene. And it was really cool because I think Desiree even opened it. I'm not even sure, but it was a really good movie. Half Street, but it was the snowboarder movie, so obviously I watched it. I'm not really focused on anything. If something seems good, I'm gonna watch it.
Cool.
How about for you, Bjorn?
I would say I'm the same way. The powder snowboarding pillows, like, oh boy, that stuff definitely gets me more juiced up. It's kind of the stuff that I want to ride, but I still love handrails and jibs and stuff. And so I'll watch it all, really, to be honest. And it's kind of funny because my youngest son, he's like always sending me stuff on Instagram, like, oh, check out this clip and check out that clip. And he's really into handrails and like jibbing and stuff like that. So he's kind of keeping me on the pulse a little bit, I guess you could say, when it comes to that stuff. And even just on like what kids are sick and stuff that maybe I hadn't heard of yet. He's like, oh, dude, check out this kid. He's on 5 and whatever. He's from Australia or just random stuff. So I've got a very open mind, though. I like watching splitboarding and like storytelling to, jibbing in the streets. It's all shredding to me.
Yep. Off the cuff, guys, what's your favorite release so far this year? How about you first, Bjorn?
What's the thing T. Rice just put out? Pillow Talk. I think I liked Oh Boy from it. Oh Boy. I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
How about for you, Chad?
Yeah, I'm gonna go there too. And then, I really liked Forrest's intro in Dorn's movie that just came out too. Just for like, he's got that Northwest vibe shredding in Colorado, so it's pretty awesome to watch. But oh boy, as far as like top movie of the year for me right now, for sure too.
アメリカのガレージブランドでカーディフスノークラフトっていうブランドです。
So today I want to tell you about my personal experience with Cardiff Snowcraft boards. So about halfway through the season, last year, Bjorn Leines let me try out a Carbon Goat. And I gotta say, it was amazing. It features 2 performance characteristics that are at the opposite ends of the spectrum. It's both damp, meaning that it absorbs chatter, and it's also really lively. It wants to crack huge ollies right off the tail. It's pretty amazing. So anyone who would pick up the board, feel how light it was, I would be like, you gotta try this thing. It's amazing. Sure enough, everyone who tried it was like, where do I get one? Well, you can get one yourself at cardiffsnow.com. You go there, you enter the coupon code, in all caps, the Snowboard Project 15. That's the Snowboard Project 15 in all caps. That gives you 15% off. It's going to be the cheapest way to get your hands on a Cardiff Snowcraft board. So go to cardiffsnow.com and check one out for yourself today.
Howdy y'all, coming at you from the Never Summer Factory with our limited edition Bone. This is the most exciting, versatile, and fun board we've done in our original rocker camber since the Proto CT. It crushes it in the powder because it has these really wide twin tips, gives you a lot of surface area, gets you right up on top of the snow, but it also holds a great edge on hard pack. You have broad contact points which give you a lot of bite on that hard snow. It's a great carving board as well. We have a sick embossed top sheet, and we're bringing back our blow off the snow base. So get them while they last. It's the limited edition Bone.
Yep. And I'm sure you guys have both noticed that, like, people are just shredding all over Europe right now. Like, Europe is on, like, Sosfe, Stomping Grounds Park, Hintertux just had their opening, etc. It seems like Europe is, like, back at it, despite the fact they're having some kind of COVID outbreak right now. It seems like they're all snowboarding over there. A lot of Americans and Canadians over there, too.
Yeah, I got some FOMO when it comes to watching all those guys on social media right now. It's powder. perfect park jumps and pipes. It looks insane.
Yeah.
It's like amazing.
I know, and I grabbed some clips from this past week for our clip show that'll come up here in a little bit, but I just thought it was interesting that, it seems like it's game on in Europe just like any other season, which I think we're going to have a little bit more of a challenging season this year. I mean, granted, America, I mean, you can go anywhere between the 50 states, and so in Europe, just with the COVID stuff, I mean, everyone's got a different border they have to go through, and so depending on where you're at and where you're trying to go, it could make things excessively complicated if you're not like a local to that resort in Europe. So maybe a little bit more complicated being European here this year. That said, though, we can't go to Canada. We can't go to BC. So I thought that was interesting, but then it made me think, like, what's going to happen with filming this year? Like, how are people going to film video parts? How are we going to, like, execute, like, filming in this season where you're kind of, like, trying to stay in smaller groups and you're trying not to be around crowds? Contests in general are up in the air. I mean, what do you guys see as kind of like your predictions as far as like where are we going to go with filming for this year? How about let's start with you, Chad?
I'm going to be here, obviously, but I think it's just going to be more local. Like, film companies like Absinthe and, stuff that Travis does. And, who knows what the snowboarder movie is going to do because, they're staying online. So there's most likely potentially another snowboard movie coming out, and it's just going to be more local. You're going to have a local European movie, a local U.S. movie. I'm not exactly sure. Or, obviously you can use the internet to send footage, so
Right.
never mind there. But it's just going to be a little bit more challenging. But it could be a little bit better because people might not waste a lot of days traveling, so they might actually get more footage being creative in their own little area.
But then again, they may have to quarantine for 14 years. I mean, everyone who just went to Europe had to quarantine in a hotel for 14 days before they actually went riding. So that could be a challenge as well. What do you see, Bjorn, as kind of like what's going to happen with filming this year for athletes?
Yeah, I think Chad's on it. It's going to be more localized, which could be cool, right? Because generally you're kind of, if you're trying to make like a really sick film, you're chasing it up to Canada and kind of running around chasing the storms and stuff. And that also like brings together more international riders into the crews where, maybe this season it'll be more localized crews where you're getting more of that, crew camaraderie through just, guys that maybe they live in the same place, like kind of what he had touched on with Tangle. A lot of those guys are based out of Salt Lake, and maybe you'll see more storytelling that is associated with, a region or a message. Maybe instead of the formula of, okay, I got to have, the sickest action from all around the globe, maybe it's, let's focus on telling a story, about that region or about the environment or, whatever it is. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Lifestyle boarding, a little more lifestyle boarding this year, hopefully. People telling their story about what they do. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are going to be challenged to come up with new and different ways to kind of show the same old thing, because you aren't traveling to as exotic locations, and so that's not really a part of your storyline. So really it's going to maybe come down more to the tricks or the way that you tell those stories.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of stories, I wouldn't mind seeing the Chad Otterstrom living in the van down by the river, traveling through Colorado, edit come out next fall.
I'm actually working on that.
Perfect.
I live in a condo down by the river, though. I'm all about the condo life. The van life, is cold. But I want to get a rooftop tent and make a movie called Every Day in May, where you splitboard every single day in May while you live in the roof of your truck around Colorado. So it's in the works. And we'll have guest appearances. So if you want to come to Colorado in May and do some splitboarding, we'll go hike Capitol Peak or something. It's a lifestyle movie.
Sick. Well, you can always drive your van here too, and you can sleep inside at my house. So
it could be in April, could be February, any time of year, really. Doesn't have to be May.
Much nice.
We'll make it look like you slept in the van, though. That's so 2020 right now. If you have a if you can afford a Mercedes van, I think it's funny these people have these $100,000 vans. I mean, I don't think it's funny, but it's just wow. It's just a whole nother level of van life. It really exploded due to the COVID.
Right, Chad, your turn to weigh in on $100,000 vans.
Hotel rooms are a lot cheaper and way more comfortable. I bought my van for like $4,000 and it lasted me 4 years, and then I blew it up. It's all about, if you're gonna live the van life, you gotta already commit to being a bum, or have your van separated with your condo life. So you have your condo life, and then when you want to go on a vacation, you go in your van, go sleep at Red Mountain Pass for 4 days, come back to your condo life. That's where but the $100,000 van is not a good investment at all. You want to put your money into more of a real estate thing. You're losing money every day. A lot of money on really nice hotel rooms if you go the $100,000 van life.
Right, you could practically be an Aspen local instead of having a Sprinter.
Yeah. You could put a big down payment on a home.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay.
It's a cool image, you know what I mean? You can park at Whole Foods, hang out, wear a micro puff, walk around, drive through Breckenridge, it's great.
Yeah. You got the look.
I'm actually jealous of those. I just don't have $100,000 laying around. So.
But would you spend $100,000 on that if you had it?
If I was laying around and I had nothing else to spend it on, and I had a lot of other $100,000 stacked up like Ben Pruce, yeah.
Okay.
I feel the same way. It's almost like a jealousy thing. It is sick. Don't get me wrong. Van life people that have the Mercedes Sprinter. It's just more of like, it just seems so like on trend. You know what I mean? It's you got to go to have the condo and go park it for a few days and get out on your adventure. That's what's up.
Yeah. So what else are you seeing as on trend besides these Sprinter vans? I mean, that's some pretty low-hanging fruit in COVID times. What else is like being trendy right now?
Outdoor recreation in general. You see, and which is great. I mean, mountain bike, you can't hardly buy a mountain bike these days. I know they're kind of like in the surf industry. They've just been pumping boards, skateboarding as well. So COVID's kind of healthy for our outdoor sports community, but it's also kind of trendy, right? And that's what we want. We want more participants, obviously. It's kind of this catch-22 of like, here we are promoting people to come splitboarding and do what we love to do, but then it's like, oh, cool. Now you're all at like our spots that we've been going to. But, I think that the days of like inclusivity, is that how you say it?
Inclusivity.
We get it.
Inclusivity. Right?
Yes.
Those, for me personally, I get more stoked when there is like a new user, somebody that wants to get into it. But when I say that it's a trend, there's so many people that are uneducated, and it's kind of a big gap. So it's, we got to work hard to, welcome these people into our community and so people survive out there and have a great time and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think especially for like splitboarding, especially this year, we're going to see a lot of new participants, but they're going out right into the danger zone if they buy a new splitboard at REI and just head out there. There really is a lot of knowledge people need to get into. How about for you, Chad? Like living in Breck, has the mountain town changed at all since like in the fall? Or, I mean, does it seem like every other year, or does it seem different?
No, it's way different. It's you go down Main Street on a Wednesday in the afternoon. When you used to do that in October when it was, 40 degrees and all the leaves are gone, there was nobody around. Like, if you saw somebody on the street, you knew them. Now, there's hundreds of people. Like,
really?
It's out of control. Like, people are still coming. It's just on the edge of getting cold, so I'm not sure if that's going to stop. But all the leaves are gone, and people are still coming up, like past leafing season. And, we just live so close to Denver, and Denver's just such a big city. We're the closest, like, resort mountain town to Denver, so everybody comes here. But it's busy. It's out of control. Mountain biking, the skate park is nonstop busy. It's like the splitboarding analogy would be like it's almost like scooter kids now. Scooter kids going to the skate park and they just go in the middle of all these skateboarders. It's kind of like the new splitboarders. You're just like, they're gonna need to learn the etiquette as they go. Hopefully, don't get smoked by a skateboarder or an avalanche. But the mountain town right now is out of control. Even over in Aspen, that's still 4.5 hours from Denver. Vail, everything. When normally the places are shut down and all the restaurants closed, the town's kind of thriving.
Really? So it doesn't seem like there's like a shoulder season or a mud season here this fall.
No, we're like 4 seasons. Like, I mean, I know Whistler turned into that like over a decade ago, where it was like, just year round. There's never a slow point. But we definitely always kind of had that in May and October, and that's definitely disappeared due to COVID.
Okay, interesting. So, guys, I have another subject that I want to talk about, which is, these kids who are trying to film these video parts and the role of sponsorship today and in these COVID times, in this like modern world of snowboarding 2020. What is the prospects look like if you're aspiring to be a sponsored rider, if you've been going to summer camps and training and really learning new tricks? I mean, what does it look like as a prospect for sponsorship now? And I know both of you guys, you, Chad, you work with Academy. Bjorn, you work with Cardiff. And so you guys probably get quite a few resumes. I mean, is it more than in the past? Is it the same as the past? I mean, what are we seeing in terms of like the perspective for these kids who are trying to get sponsored?
Well, I'm seeing, I mean, you saw it last year, Blake Lamb cut his board in half and burnt a bunch of whatever down.
Yeah.
And it's on point and one of the better jibbers out there, and skateboarders as well. And he's just like, screw it, I'm going to do this for fun and just live my life. It's harder, I mean, but the cream always rises to the top. There's definitely a couple kids out there that are still amazing and still putting it on the edge. You watch Tangle, there's a couple kids in that are making it happen and do it. You just see, for me, in videos and kids coming up, you see a lot of street riding because it's almost easier for them to do that because they don't have to I remember when I was into jibbing, it was just easier to go in the streets and set up a rail than it was to go get a crew to go snowmobile all day and get a filmer way out in the backcountry and get those shots. So you see a lot more street riding, I guess, in the kids coming up than you would in the backcountry. But at least around here anyways, and what I watch. But as far as, kids coming up, you see them, and there's definitely a couple kids out there that are, on the edge. There's also the whole park scene that's kind of polluted a lot of it, I think. I don't know about polluted is the right word, but, kind of overtaken your screen on your phone. But
yeah,
I'm not,
Well, it kind of seems like, that back in your era when you were kind of on top of the game in terms of like being in video parts, or I mean, you're still on top of the game, both of you guys are, but, let's say like 15 years ago, it seemed like there were more riders who could make a living off of snowboarding. And today it's fewer riders who can actually make like a good living and be like, this is my career, right? Do you see it that way? Or do you think that it's something that, is the same opportunity as when you were a teenager coming into the sport?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. When I was younger, I think a big difference is there was more opportunity because there was more brands, and also because the sport was younger and it hadn't been embraced by the mainstream yet. And I think once we've kind of now with the last 2 decades, as we've kind of been, gone through, being accepted by the mainstream and having, the Olympics and the X Games and the market has almost got a little bit more, it's not diluted. It's just not as explosive and new energy as it used to be. It's the formulas have kind of played out a few cycles now. And, a lot of these companies, the squeeze went out with a lot of small brands, and the ski industry, got their foothold in there, and, some bigger brands became cool, like, your Sullivans and different brands like that, got onto the scene, and it was so competitive that now in order to make it as a pro, yeah, there's not as much resources committed to it. And so I wouldn't say there's not opportunity. Like if you're a kid listening to this, or it's all about what you want to manifest, like, put your goals down, put it on paper and go for it. There's room out there to be a sponsored pro. But I think a lot of people get kind of lost in the one dimension, right? Like, snowboarding used to be really punk rock, and there was kind of characters, certain athletes had certain images. And I think now it's gotten a little bit soft in a way. And so if you can differentiate yourself, not from like some fake persona, but from maybe you're a young kid and you want to go climb mountains and ride that sort of stuff. Like you just don't see that yet, right? Because barrier to entry is higher, just like Chad talked about. The handrails are obtainable anywhere. But so that's why you see so much competition in the street game. It's just, anyone can go, to their local school, and then their park, whether it's Trollhagen or Brighton or, some flat hill in Saskatchewan. It's like anyone can front board on a rail and like figure out tricks, but to like go out in the streets and do it unique and look different than the other kids, I think that's really hard. So there's a lot of different factors. Economically, there's just not as much money as there was. And I think that's going to come around. Skateboarding kind of went through this thing in the 90s, and hopefully that's, we're on the upcycle again.
Yep. Okay, so for you, Chad, like what advice do you have for kids who are trying to stand out in like a crowded field of kids who are good riders, but maybe haven't gotten that traction with their sponsors or to find sponsors even at all? Like what kind of advice do you have for kids who are trying to make it in snowboarding?
Well, when I was a coach, I don't think the parents liked it, but we'd always go to the park, and I was like, if you guys do anything, it's like get out of the park, go hit the streets, go in the backcountry, make whatever you do unique, kind of like what you said, Bjorn. It's whatever you do on your snowboard, make it your own, because it's very noticeable when you start copying stuff and what other people are doing. A perfect example is Zeb. Like, you didn't really know where he was going to go and what he was going to do, but you just knew that you wanted to watch him snowboard because you never knew what he was going to do when he dropped in. And kind of have that, style too. It's just like make it look good and just be original and unique and be yourself is what. And if it works, it works. It doesn't, at least you didn't like just try to copy something.
Yeah, it's funny, like when you look at like all of the footage that's coming out of Europe, there's so many guys doing like the 14s, right? Backside 14, switch backside 14, frontside 14, but that's really like kind of the standard for the park guys. And it kind of blends together a little bit. I mean, someone does something subtly better than someone else, but really, it's a lot of the same thing and very little different. And when you look at, someone like Zeb or someone like Suspect Sketch or like Skylar Gallardo, it's like those guys kind of have their own unique style and really make it stand out. What advice do you have for Bjorn, for people to really kind of like rise above the people who are of similar skill level around them?
Well, I think a good example would be, you just mentioned all those guys, Renee, Ren, and Congus, because if you have your own like kind of unique style and a way to do a trick that is slightly different, that's super important because you can stand out. It's like, and also that, you have access to all this digital filming and stuff that you can, my advice would be, put together a sponsor tape. Like I would say that we're not seeing a bigger influx of this stuff. Personally, I'm not seeing as much of it. And I think, and again, I go back to having kids because they've kind of been through this mentality a little bit where it's like, if you don't start, training when you're 10 years old, you're never going to make it, kind of a thing. I think the younger generation really sees, how much of a kind of a soccer mom and dad style like our sport has grew into on the competitive side of things. Right. So I'm here to tell you that like you don't have to go that route. You can create opportunity just by doing something that you're passionate about. And if it resonates with people that you have a genuine like love for something and it comes across in your snowboarding, then people are going to gravitate towards that, you know. And I go to like Rene because a couple 3 years ago, nobody knew who he was. He stepped onto the scene. He had really great personality, right? So not just riding a snowboard. And then when he rode his snowboarding, it's like Chad said, it was unpredictable. You were waiting to see, you know, like a Zeb Powell, you're kind of going, oh man, he just made that look so cool. Like, what's he going to do next, you know? And it can be the simplest things go a long ways if you have style. So
Right. It's interesting. We'll get into a little bit of that in the clip show as well, because I think that I pulled some clips actually to kind of talk about that. So, maybe we should just kind of head into the clip show. Any more closing thoughts on sponsorship? But where do they send their sponsor me tapes for Academy, Chad?
Chad at academysnowboards.com. I have somebody running our Instagram, and I just tell them if anybody hits you up to get sponsored, just have them email me. And then we got their email, so they're on our email list, and then, show's over.
Right? They're going to send them 10 times the amount of emails they're going to send to you. Right on. Okay, guys. Well, I think we got actually a pretty interesting clip show for you guys today, because I did pull actually an extra 5 clips. Normally it's 10 clips. This week I pulled 15 clips. And, well, actually 2 of them are little teasers for our stuff. But anyhow, about the first 5 are from last season. Then we get into this season's riding, because really it's already happening. So without further ado, let's go into the clip show. Here's our first clip. And I thought we'd start out with some powder. This is Jeremy Jensen from Grassroots Powder Surfing, from Logan, Utah. But, man, no bindings, no problem here.
dude, he's one of the pioneers, especially down in the lower 48 on the POW surfing. Jeremy's the OG up in Logan, and he just makes it look so fun. And he's kind of like Chad in the sense where he should be a GoPro A-team athlete, because he's always got the GoPro. And I mean, look at how sick that, POW turns, backside 3, no bindings.
Yeah. What do you think of that one, Chad?
Yeah, Jeremy, I shredded with him in Jackson 2 years ago. I think he's awesome. He actually shreds with Shirky. Shirky moved up to Logan. And it looks like he's using the GoPro 360, obviously, with his hand there.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty excited to actually get shots like that this winter, because I just got the GoPro 360 all dialed throughout this last summer. Looks like he's going backwards on the POW surf there, too, which is a next level technical move.
Yeah.
I rode his POW surf in Jackson a couple years ago. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, the cool thing is like just taking the bindings off makes every little thing seem that much more challenging.
Yeah, full 360 is intense.
And for those that don't know, the listeners, POW surf, Grassroots, Jeremy's been developing these boards for, well over a decade now. So he shapes them. He's, that's his business. And so he's definitely refined how they shred in the POW, and he's always out there on his sled just getting lapped.
Nice. Okay, let's go to the next clip. This is Zach Hale. And he's like doing like a backflip method, some kind of street location. Kind of a cool shot. What do you guys think?
That was like a Wally back. I call it a hawk and flip. When you do a backflip method, well, let me double check. It looks kind of like a crippler method almost, if you put that into a hip landing. But yeah, in Subject Hawkinson, Terry does backflip methods, so I call that the second hawk and flip in the streets.
I like that combo of bringing the airtime into the streets, and Zach's doing it with really good style here. I think that's more front side on the crippler style right there. Maybe it's just the angle, but either way, it's super dope. Is that from Trash, from his movie, or is that just a clip from this last season?
He just posted this on Instagram last week, and I just like the style. It's probably from Trash. It looks like last season. But anyhow, I just thought it was cool that he's kind of doing a nice air off of like a street obstacle. Kind of cool. So let's go to the next one. And this is Trill Smith. I think he's Australian. and he's going to do a little wally backside 180 out.
I mean, his name's pretty awesome, Trill. It's like a southern rap or something like that from like 2 decades ago. Little backside wall ride. I like that Jeremy Jones style. You know, that's the scene.
Right? Is this kid Australian? I feel like.
I think he is.
I think with a name like Trill and a movie like Mates, it's got to be Australian, right? Mates.
Giveaways. Okay, mate. Super sick backside wallet, mate. 180 out. Oh yeah, nailed it.
Good on you.
Let's celebrate with some Vegemite. What do you guys say?
Yeah, meat pies.
All right, next clip. Here we go. Oh, this is Alex Kolar. He's a Cardiff rider, but I just wanted to get some real blower pow in here, and this looks like blower pow to me.
There it is.
It's lifestyle tricks. Those are my favorite.
And if you notice, it's like side by side because he's filming the guy next to him riding in like just 2 feet of pow, but he's actually like keeping up with him and keeping him in frame. So that's actually, the filmer actually gets extra credit for this one.
Couple bros shredding pout. Doesn't get any better than that.
Right?
It's like, that's the best trick in the book right there.
Looks like a storm day. I love it.
Yep. Okay, so here is our next clip. And this is Fridge. And Fridge kind of falls into that category like Renee. You just don't know what to expect. He's got some unique tricks, unique style. What do you make of this one, Chad?
We talked about this a little earlier. That's kind of almost like that Nicholas back 5, but he over-rotates, then pulls it back and does the tail grab on it. But Fridge, he has a backpack on as well. So that's just a little more image there, I guess you could say. But yeah, he's another loose cannon. He's like one of those riders that's making it and not technically doing all the super triples and quadruples, but what he does is unique and different. So every time you watch Fridge ride, you get hyped.
Yep. What do you think, Bjorn?
The nollie initiation on this trick. It's almost like he almost missed the nollie. Maybe that's the angle, and then pops and lands at the complete bottom of the tranny. It's pretty cool. I have a hard time visualizing this, like the way he just brings it back under his feet. Looks really awkward, but he nails it. Like Chad said, unique style. It's always intriguing.
Yep.
Okay, here's the next clip. This is actually, now we're going to our in-season footage. And so this is Ryo Azawa from Japan. He's over in Sasfe at the Stomping Grounds Park. And this is just like a little kind of a few different clips of just him kind of riding around Sasfe.
I think that it looks like they're setting up the park features to be able to do different little side hits on it instead of just your standard launching donkey park jump, but which is kind of cool. And then he does a lip slide,
It's funny he does all this stuff. It's like the lip slide is the thing that got my attention out of all these tricks.
Yeah.
I'd say the lip slide was the coolest thing to me too. It just looked rad. There's pow. But I'm wondering, is this like a new job for every team manager now? It's just got the GoPro on a pole and they just follow you around every lap? Because that's what it looks like to me.
Right, the gimbal demigods.
Right?
So now we're going to get into some action here at Sasfe. This is Mark McMorris. Check this one out.
Just frontside triple to mute and then to tail grab with so much style and ease. I love how he makes that trick look like, Chad or I doing a frontside 720. He just does it, but it's a frontside triple cork and on a pretty small jump like it was nothing. Kid's a G.
Yeah, if I'm watching Park, I'm watching Mark. It's the best. For sure.
Just
This clean stomp on this, it's just like effortless, just touches down. It's really good. Okay, here's the next one. This is Dusty Hendrickson. He's over there too. This is switch backside. Look at the stomp. Just effortless touchdown.
Dusty, well, he did at the U.S. Open last year. He did the back quad with a T-shirt on, and now he's getting switchback triples. So he's definitely one to watch as far as slopestyle contests come in the future. He seems like he did a bunch of cool tricks this summer too off knuckles, like little tail block slide to front flips, and pretty cool, unique, original stuff. And he's got the super spins on the park looters now, so he's one to watch.
Stompzilla on this trick too. Is he a Colorado guy, Dusty?
He's actually
Where?
North Carolina, I believe, originally.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, future Olympian, just judging off of his Instagram right here.
Yeah, no doubt.
No, for sure, he's got potential.
Oh, yeah. And he's a young guy, too. So it's like him and Zeb both come from North Carolina. Go figure. Two of the strongest riders coming up today.
Crazy.
So here's the next one. This is Jan Shearer, and this is kind of a new trick, as it was claimed has never been done. Alley-oop double.
Switch alley-oop double, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
So alley-oop double back rodeo and perhaps mute and then tail.
Yep.
Chad's the judge, so he's like so good at knowing exact rotations. Like I have to watch it 3 times, and I'm like, oh, 1080. I was thinking it's like a 1260, but he just knows.
Yeah, we got to know 10, 12, 14, 16, like off the bat. But this trick kind of originated from Mike Michalchuk, doing the little double backflip to fakie, and then I think George Oakley was the first person to do double back rodeo and come back in forward. And then now they're doing them switch 1080 on the other wall. So
Yeah.
progression.
I mean, do you think this is going to open up the door to a bunch of new tricks? We haven't seen a lot of double alley-oops. Do you think we're going to see a lot more of that this year?
Yeah, I think that especially for last tricks in the pipe for competition, the double alley-oop rodeo, even frontside off your heels, not a lot of people are really doing. There's a lot of room for that, and I feel like that's a really cool last trick to do because it's a really hard trick to keep your speed on.
Yeah, in other words, you don't want to land that and have to do another hit 20 feet out afterwards because you might not have the speed.
Although if you look at Yan, he pretty much lands on the top foot of the tranny. It's just like nailed it on that one. I saw this on his gram too. What was cool is they showed a couple of his non-makes leading up to that.
Yep.
And I love it when you see that first.
Totally. You appreciate the agony defeat that went into that thrill of victory.
For sure.
Right.
Okay, here's another clip. This is Ayumu Hirano. He's taken 2 years off of riding. He hasn't really been in the scene since the 2018 Olympics, but he's back. And so I just thought this was kind of a cool clip of him,
What did you say? Dank?
Dink, I lost connection.
Oh. Frontside 5 cork with a big old mute, like Japan tweak out in it. That's what I'm talking about. That unique, solid, making a 540 look dank, as Chad would put it.
Yeah.
That's Colorado terminology for you.
Legally changed his name to Dank, and we're like, yeah, it's probably a bad idea. But I think Ayuma's got some work ahead of him. You take 2 years off a half pipe, you're gonna have to put some work in to come back. Looking at riders like Scotty James and Jan, but
Yeah.
Ayumu, those guys have talent, so it could only take 6 months and they're back.
Yep. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about this because there's this other rider who, like, all these guys are doing 12s and 14s, 16s, some 18s even at the Sas Fe. But then you got Kevin Backstrom, and then Kevin does something totally different. Check this out. Like, here's Kevin riding. He does like frontside 3s, backside 5s, straight airs, no grabs. What do you guys make of Kevin Backstrom's riding?
I like, he's got the Stormtrooper outfit, so it's very noticeable. He's got the hat. His base matches his outfit as well. Black gloves, black boots. That's the kind of riding I'd do if I was there. I could tell you that. 540s and 360s.
Well, how do you explain the fact that Kevin is so popular among other athletes? Like, if you ask, like, any of the Norwegians, like, who's your favorite, they kind of say Kevin is. A lot of them do anyway. Why is that?
I know like JP Walker would do that sometimes, like figure out what would work for the spot. But anyways, Kevin wears a lot of white and it looks rad. And like that ollie right there, it's not crazy, but it's mini shred like trannies, and it's relatable because you're like, oh, maybe I could do that, you know, if you're just more like an average guy or something. But he does it with so much flavor that you want to emulate it.
He's got that thrasher shredder style, you know, like he's just going down the hill and ripping it up. Like that's, yeah.
Okay, here's one more from Kevin.
This is intense. The nothing 1-footer.
Yeah.
The starfish, you know.
So he basically goes off the jump. He's only strapped in with 1 foot, and he just like stretches out in the air. No grab, just kind of, aerial starfish.
But you can't take your eyes off it, right? Because I've never seen anyone do it. Everybody grabs indie, and you know it's like the norm. That's not the norm. He's slowing it down. Looks like he's just on a trampoline having fun right there. 1-footed.
Okay, so how do you guys like size up kind of this? How do you size up like the triple 14s versus the kind of the more simplistic approach of, say, Kevin Backstrom? Which do you guys prefer more? Which appeals to you more?
I like watching Mark McMorris.
Okay.
And I like watching Mark do tricks, and I like watching Kevin just go kind of rip around, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay, how about for you, Bjorn? Which do you prefer?
I mean, they're both appealing. The wow factor of seeing the triple cork and the quad cork, it gets me, but it's getting a little numbing right now. So I guess I'm more on the Kevin Backstrom tip. No offense to those other dudes. It just kind of feels a little stale, even though I know it's so extremely difficult to do those tricks. But, you know, for the average person, I just don't think it translates. It's unrelatable, more or less. And we're doing a frontside 3. Anybody can, you know, aspire to do that and do it with good style one day and go, hey, I did it like Kevin did it or whatever.
Yep.
And they can do it forever, you know? Like people who do quadruple corks and triple corks, once they're done doing them, they're not going to be doing them later in their life.
Right.
You know, if you front 3, you're going to see a lot of 60-year-olds in the future doing front 3s, you know? Guaranteed.
I kind of agree with that.
That just sparked an idea. That'd be a sick contest. Like, if you're 60 years old, submit your 360 to the because I want to see a 60-year-old front 3. Like, who's like
Pappas is on the
Pappas. That's all I could think of. Yeah,
that would be pretty ill. So I do have 2 more clips for you guys. These are kind of like from the Snowboard Project, I guess you might say. But this first one is from the Go Snowboarding podcast. I just love this one because it's Mike Arts teaching his like 12-year-old kid how to drive a car and they're going snowboarding.
that kid looks like he's like 7. What do you mean 12? He's
Okay, it might not be 12 yet.
That's rad.
But yeah, Mike has got a little backyard park going on, so he gets to shuttle the kids up in an old pickup truck with a plow on it and teaches kids how to drive.
Dropping in out of the bed of the truck.
Yep.
Mobile drop-in ramp right there.
So that's part of the Go Snowboarding podcast. We have Jeff Pensiero, Mike Arts, Mike Bassich, and a bunch of other guys. The idea behind that show is to basically pass the mentorship on for DIY snowboarding and take people of experience and teach people who have ambition on how to do it. So that's kind of the idea. That's a little video Mike Arts put together for that. And the other one is the Splitboard project. We just released our first edition of that this week. And so that is like with Will Ritter from Spark R&D. He's the founder of Spark R&D, and myself. And so we co-host that one. That is our first magazine-style show. And so the idea is it has long segments, short segments. We do everything from like gearing up for the season to a trip to Denali, and cover kind of a bunch of different subjects. Did either of you guys check either of those out?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right, we're gonna have.
What'd you think?
Everyone.
I thought they were great. I especially like listening to Will and then the Denali thing. I know that Nick and Danny and all those guys went to Denali and basically rode top to bottom of everything, slaughtered the entire mountain like it was a ski resort, which was pretty cool to see. But and then just hearing Will talk about what he's got going with Spark.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun one. That's we'll do those about once a month. The Splitboard project, Go Snowboarding, will be about twice a month, and so we're working on some of those. But anyhow, just wanted to let people know that yes, we have a few other podcasts out there besides the Real Talk. Not all of them are video; some are audio only. That's actually where our biggest audience is. But I just wanted to let people know kind of what was out there here from the Snowboard project. And I also want to thank both of you guys for coming on again and being the co-hosts here for another edition of Real Talk.
Thanks for having us. We'll be back in a couple weeks, and hopefully we'll be talking about shredding then. Real deal.
That's the idea. That is the idea.
Yeah, let it snow. Thanks, Mark. It's always fun chopping it up with you and Chopper, Chad.
Right on, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Real Talk. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to our podcast, rate, review the podcast. Also, check out our YouTube channel, YouTube.com/C/The Snowboard Project. And if you really like it, please go to Patreon and support us so we can keep turning out this independent snowboarding media. Thanks, guys, for tuning in again. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Bjorn. Got that backwards. I don't know. But anyhow, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks with another Real Talk.
Adios.
Adios, amigo.
Right on, guys.